All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Apple earnings today. Shares at 118 and 15 cents. Here you have live. Well, I said to subscribers ahead of earnings that I'm not going to have a long position in Apple, although if I had to choose on a mid-term basis, since my upgrade to strong buy at $93, I would consider to have a long position or to maintain a long position, having in mind an upside of $120.70. However, having said this, since the shares are trading at 118 and 30 cents, if the company does not report a very good quarter, quite frankly, the upside is limited because you could see shares going to 121, 122. Well, if that is relevant to you, you can maintain a long position in Apple. I don't see shares collapsing down to $93 anytime soon, all right? However, at this price that you have here, in my opinion, it is rather late to buy Apple shares because you had the opportunity to buy when I upgraded to strong buy once Mr. Carl Icahn announced that he quit Apple. And by quitting Apple, it was time to invest in Apple again. Very simple. Last year in 2015, he raised the targets in Apple to $250. It was time to sell, and shares they collapsed. So our downgrade to strong sell. But to finalize, Apple, although shares can move higher, Apple is not a strong buy in my opinion, all right? Because shares can move higher, but also in 2017 or even this quarter, shares can reverse course. Therefore, I believe that it is rather risky to buy shares at this price. And so, in my opinion, also short sellers at this price, they can start selling short the stock and to have a profit in the future, or in this quarter if the company misses, or next quarter if the company beats and shares they move higher. You can then add to the short side, and by adding to the short side, I'm pretty sure that if you follow then my guidance, you will obtain a profit on the short side in Apple again, okay? So, to be clear again, ahead of the company to report earnings, because the earnings are out within a few minutes probably, it is rather late to buy Apple shares. The upside, it is limited. The upside, in my opinion, is 120 and 70 cents. If the company announces a very good quarter, you can see shares eventually going to 122 or to 123. It is a possibility with Wall Street raising targets. Okay, so there will be momentum. But also, if you start selling short the stock right now, if you believe that Apple is going to miss, even if you are wrong this quarter, I also think that you can eventually make a profit in the future, okay? So between both cases, I'm kind of neutral because I'm not going to have a long position. I already announced it by selling the stock. And I would sell short the stock here after hours on strength, okay? But also informing you that eventually you might not see a very large profit, since I don't think that Apple is going to crash down to the price that I upgraded to strong buy for several reasons, all right? At least short or mid-term, this will take a long time. Having in mind also, which I believe it is important to mention here, the fact that Apple, as I predicted, and it helped very much, the case with Samsung. So the case with Samsung helped investors probably to make by far more than they expected to, because Apple is a wonderful marketing engine. And although there are problems or issues with both phones, so it's not only Samsung that has problems. That is what the Americans they say, obviously, because it is for their convenience. But the fact is that the iPhone it also had problems. All right, and the same problems as Samsung, but not within or same dimensions, I would say. So after hours, what I'm doing, I'm selling short Apple. It is a trade against the crowd, okay, and probably against you. So, but I'm informing you. But I'm not selling short the stock, a very large short position, okay, because at this point is a bit risky, okay. So this is my opinion, my point of view, assuming that shares can move against me or my position in the short term, okay? So I repeat that I'm selling short the stock after hours here, and but not having in mind that the stock is going to crater or to crash, but instead that can pull back, which also will not break the uptrend, the existing one, and this is going also to depend on what the company is going to announce or to report, okay? But this is my clear view and my decision, all right? So also important to assume a decision or to make a decision live in real time, and also to assume responsibility for that decision, regardless of whether it is going to materialize into a profit or not. But by assuming a position, as you see or you have in the basic training course, important or very important to have a clear definition of the, let's say, the risk involved in this trade, because in the end we are talking about the intermediate price. We are not talking about new highs in Apple, all right? And we are not talking about a very good price to buy the stock that is after a crash, okay? So we are talking about an intermediate price where kind of neutral, right? So I wish you good luck going into earnings. Bear in mind also our calls in the tech sector, in the power shares, the Qs, which they had a very important impact in the stock market. Because many stocks they crashed precisely due to this reason. Another thing that I also have to say is that I'm not very much interested, quite frankly, just to finalize, that Apple rallies a lot from here, okay? Because Apple to rally a lot from here, it will help the Qs to rally or to go or to move higher further, and that is not of our particular interest, okay? So in the end, you are aware that we invest in Apple according also to the power shares, the Qs, the broader market, other things that they are happening in the forex markets, you know, in several sectors, because in the end it's not about Apple itself, it's about broader market, it's about the Qs, it's about the ETF, and I don't have any or much interest, quite frankly, that Apple you know, rallies a lot from here, okay? So therefore you should be informed about it. So I welcome also pullback in shares if that happens. If it does not happen, my friends, by the way, if you missed my call, you know, in Apple upgrading to strong buy precisely when they were downgrading, well, that is precisely, that constitutes your problem, not mine. And this on a day that in the morning you had a very important announcement. This is the crash of this company Under Armour that we have been discussing here for a long period of time, downgrading to strong sell at $51.50, precisely when everyone else was buying and raising targets, and then downgrading to junk, the first and the only company in the world with a junk rating in Under Armour at a price of $47, a very expensive company, overvalued as demonstrated, precisely similar to the case of Lululemon, where in 2016, recently I made a complimentary call, downgrading and saying to investors worldwide to sell Lululemon at $77, because, I mean, only a lunatic will maintain a long position in such company, okay? So a very large short position in Lehman since then. In fact, on Wall Street upgrades, Wells Fargo raised a target in Lehman ahead of a crash to $85, okay? So you are aware and you are always prepared for these corrupts to upgrade stocks at the very top. So we are going to have Apple earnings and what else to say here? We are also going to have Twitter earnings. Shares right now at $17.21. With regards to Twitter, I've been very explicit. So there was a time to buy Twitter, obviously then using the rumors. So buying ahead of all the rumors at $14.65 or $15 when also I made a complimentary goal to cover short positions on Twitter. Then the shares, they rallied significantly to $25.30. But I mean, at $25, as I told you, the upside was very limited in Twitter, and the decision to dump Twitter, reverse into the short side, I think that was the best one. With regards to Apple, obviously we are not talking about the same. This is a quality company. In terms of metrics or price to earnings, obviously, you know, we don't have any comparison whatsoever. Twitter, we called it or we named it at that time the biggest stock bubble in history when shares they traded to $73. We reiterated several times on Twitter that was going to crash, and it crashed. But Apple, I mean, was not going to crash down to $50. I mean, obviously, only the idiot would think or consider that Apple was going to melt, okay? Which is a completely different matter compared, for example, with bubble stocks that I also addressed here. The case of Twilio, a former strong buy at $25 IPO, but with shares at $70, my friends, only a lunatic invests or buy shares of Twilio, only fucking Americans, okay? That's ridiculous, all right? So these companies, Twilios, you know, Twitters and so on, GoPros and blah, blah, they are speculative companies or speculative stocks. You don't invest or buy to hold this crap, okay? With regards to Apple, it was a completely different matter. I mean, when shares, when no one is there believing or, you know, downgrading, it is precisely when you have to be buying and to hold against the crowd, because they are quitting. They, like the case of Mr. Carl Icahn, he always sells stocks at the bottom. Once again proven, and he continues buying or investing in stocks that they were going to crash. So you have articles, I remind you, the case of Transocean, the case of Chesapeake Energy, these companies as examples, mere examples, because you have plenty of articles, complementary live market calls on the website of the company. And this for the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 years at least, saying do not invest in Carl Icahn stock picks, Transocean and Chesapeake Energy. They are going to collapse, and they collapsed, okay? So only an idiot would obviously invest in these companies with great, very deep problems indeed, all right? So only a lunatic, since you have in fact by far better companies in the market, stock market, as historical, in fact, lifetime opportunities. The case of Facebook, strong buy, when no one also believed that they were downgrading. Imagine the Americans, you know, I remember, still remember, always will remember that day where they said that Facebook was worth $14, okay? $14 for Facebook, they said it. I think it was on Barron's or whatever, one of the most popular magazines in the US for American idiots, obviously, okay? So only the Americans, they buy these scam magazines, and they visit these websites and all that crap. So Facebook, it was one of them. Google, obviously a monopoly. Amazon, the case of Amazon, historical Amazon, also that no one believed here, in, and Amazon and Intuitive Surgical. Amazon, again, upgrading Amazon to strong buy at $285 when they had sell ratings in Amazon. So they were bearish Amazon at precisely that price. Reiterated more than once in Amazon. The case of Amazon, probably one of the most important. Also telling you, informers, investors, that Amazon, in our opinion, by far better than Apple. Okay, so that was, or that has been our opinion for a long period of time. In fact, complementary lessons on the website of the company that you had for years, but along or together with Microsoft. Okay, so you also have to look at Microsoft and the confirmation that Microsoft at new all-time highs, it was a by far better investment than Apple. Okay, because Apple, it is trading at 118, and the fact is, and always the fact it may matter, that Apple is still a stock today, although you have new highs in the market. Apple is still a stock today trading very at a price very well below the downgrade that we had here to strong sell 133 in 2015, saying that shares they were going down to crash, and they crashed. Okay, so Microsoft, again, I proved that Microsoft, Amazon, they were by far better investments compared to Apple itself. And you had the articles precisely with the titles "Sell Apple, Buy Amazon," one of the most profitable investment strategies in history that is likely to work on a long-term basis, and it worked. Okay, so in the end, this to say what? That, my friends, the earnings in Apple, they don't matter at all whether shares they are going to 120 or 116 in the end, all right? Why? Because you had, in fact, where you had to have your capital was in Amazon and in Microsoft, that they were by far better than Apple. They have been always, until proven the contrary or the opposite. And therefore, you maintain always or your capital utilizing or comprehending the game, and you don't quit the game unless you are forced to, and in this particular case you had never been forced to quit the game. On the contrary, having said this, we also announced here price targets, which in the end might be conservative, I don't know, for the case of Apple and Amazon for the rest of year 2016, as well as also going into 2017. Okay, so in the end you have every single piece of information that is required to have, informing you what to do if you wanted to continue, and also differentiating the concept of investing in the market versus trading. And in what the Americans are doing is completely different. They are scalping stocks or they are going down to flash it to down the bottom, to the bottom or the very bottom, with the example of Bill Ackman, that he cannot stop losing money in the markets. As you know, every single stock pick that he announced, every single billionaire loss. Okay? So these are the fake billionaires in the markets, that they are there to scam investors, right? So the stock pick that Bill Ackman said once that was a lifetime investment opportunity, the next Berkshire Hathaway, the case of Valiant, I see it on the tape at $22. I don't see $270, I don't see $300. I continue not seeing the next Berkshire Hathaway. But he said, this is the hero in the United States, that Valiant was going to be the next Berkshire Hathaway. So they said the same. The Americans said precisely the same. Morningstar, the director, the CEO, Jim Cramer, who represents 98% of the American population, he said Sears Holdings, a lifetime investment opportunity ahead of a meltdown. And this was in 2007, when shares they were trading at $156. We said, and we had a strong sell rating in that crap, along with, for example, former Research in Motion, that after they changed the name, the scam, to BlackBerry, since they have been a scam since the very beginning. Okay, so these things, they are known since the very beginning. And if you are an American, my friend, it has been proven by Einstein 1 century ago that these guys are completely idiots, lunatics, and in fact today led by or led by lunatic Yellen, one of the most dangerous person in the world, for all the reasons that I disclosed here, and I proved it. Right? So this is very simple, and it does not matter whether you are going to you disagree, or does not matter. Anyway, you also have here this scam Pandora Media, where you also in 2015, 2014, 2013, since IPO, I've been addressing this company, Pandora Media. Other scam that today it is down, and I followed this with. You have plenty of articles, my friends, on the. This is other example of not only a scam, a company without any interest, speculative stock, which I addressed recently in our service, selling short the stock precisely. I think it was $22 or so, live, and I tell you that at that price. Pandora Media, when they were talking about rumors, okay, rumors of acquisition in Pandora Media and so on, that the company was going to be acquired. Fucking acquired, I mean, it's bullshit, all these rumors. You remember the rumors also last year in Twitter at $53 that, they started on the internet or on the web. Twitter was not ever acquired, and Twitter crashed, okay? So if you wanted ever to speculate on Twitter, you had to profit in first place from the crash in Twitter, and not ever to speculate in crap or in speculative stocks that they are widely popular among the Americans. So, my friends, you have here endless opportunities in the markets. You have content on the website with a large number of stock picks, with the very best and 100% accuracy proven live on the tape, on live stock charts. You have all the resources. You have complementary live streaming sessions. I mean, you have everything. I mean, I don't know what the people they need more, quite frankly, in the markets. I mean, to become a millionaire. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else these people they quite frankly they need. So I do recommend you to sell short the bubble stocks. Apple is not a bubble, okay? I'm referring to bubble stocks. There are plenty of them, and we address them, which are the stocks that they are speculative, and being very aggressive, my friends, against the Americans. And it is there, $1 billion, $5 billion net profit, and all this, and it is going down. That is guaranteed. And you have to be patient, and also obviously to place your bets against Mr. Carl Icahn. The guy is completely desperate. He's completely desperate, and this guy is going down also. His balance sheet probably now it is down, I don't know, 10 or 11 billion dollars. And there are paid marketing articles on the web saying that the guy is making money. So they explain to me how a guy that invested in Transocean at $56.58 is making money in the markets. I mean, I don't know, with Transocean at this price that he recently announced that he was cutting losses, not only in Transocean, as well as in Chesapeake, that is $6.13. I mean, these are the fools of the world that they told you to invest in these bubble stocks. Or in the case of Report McMoran also, that precisely the same case, buying 80 million shares, blah, 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 that he thought that the stock was going down, to $30. I mean, these guys are, completely lunatic. Anyway, this is a mathematical fact. It is proven live on the tape. I wish you good luck going into earnings in Apple, and you are going to have more earnings, right? Company is probably more important for you than Apple itself. And you had also nice surprises. I just saw one, in fact, a nice surprise this quarter. I have to go. And that surprise this quarter was came from Netflix, nothing else. So no other company announced anything special. I would say this quarter so far. Obviously, some companies are going to beat earnings. One of the things that they do in Wall Street is to lower estimates precisely to help companies to beat earnings. That is one of the tactics or strategies used by Wall Street. Other one, for example, the one used at Tesla is to confuse the investor. So, gap, no gap, earnings, what accounting, we are changing accounting this quarter, record deliveries, no, but, change of accounting, how we are going now to evaluate Tesla. I mean, this is obviously, everything is planned ahead of all these announcements, new products at Tesla, announcing also the autonomous vehicle. They never had any autonomous vehicle, but not even autopilot, autonomous driving. How can they be talking about, in fact, Tesla? I'm not here, telling you to sell short Tesla or buying Tesla, okay? What I'm saying is, I'm reporting to the facts, is how can this company be talking about autonomous vehicles, driving and all this shit, if they don't even have the autopilot working, okay? No features, no technology to achieve it, and in fact they have to appreciate the work of NVIDIA, a long-term investment, call it here, a strong buy since $12.60. And in fact, NVIDIA, yes, NVIDIA, it is a completely different matter. It's a stock today trading at $71.80. But my friends, please do not compare NVIDIA with Tesla Motors, scam. That is the direct result of this individual, Elon Musk, downgraded to strong sell at $285, reiterated $267 in 2016. So, my friends, quite frankly, where is the difficulty of this? I don't see any difficulty, okay? Everything has been reported, it is live, all these calls on the website of the company, there are no changes whatsoever, and if for some reason there is a change or alteration, we report the alteration in real time or ahead of the important moves in the markets when we have to report it precisely in order to help you to, to do such things, okay? So, I leave you with the scam Pandora Media, right now at $11.16, and Apple right now at $118.44, where obviously here Mr. Buffett, Warren Buffett, is jumping, trying to push a bit the Apple share price higher, all right? Well, these things, after hours, they try to, to make the sentiment, it's about the sentiment. So, what I'm saying is that the share price closed around the $118, and it already gained, 40 cents, and this is done after hours, precisely to make them believe, it's going to jump, there are buyers, so if the stock sells, I'm, protected, because there are buyers, there are actual buyers. Well, it is true that there are actual buyers, but does not mean that the stock is going to rally much. So I'm going to have a short position. I assume that eventually a loss or an open loss for quite a while in Apple, but that is my decision. Right now you have the price jump at 119.75. Now back to the same price, 118.49, 120.47, 119.85. So what we do here is to, there are open orders, okay? So this is the pivot that I referred to ahead of earnings, the 108.20 and 70 cents, now 121, 121 and 20, 121 and 44. We gives more, so 121 and 44, 120, now you can sell short here, so 121 and 70, all right? So 121 and 70 here, selling short the stock. So this is the filled in order for you to see live, all right, in Apple. 121 and 70, all right? And also, so I assume that the share price was going to move higher. I add to the short side, at 121 and 70 cents, or if you open the short position there, or if you want to close the long position, up to you. The target price or the pivot that I announced to be 120 and 70 cents, okay? More or less the price that you have now. And to have Apple as a sell, obviously you need now the stock or the share price to reverse completely after hours, which is not yet happening. It is doing well, but for example, as you can see, Apple is up right now $3, 2.4%. Right now only down, up less. It is going down now 1.7. It is 119.87. All right, and now it is back to the pivot, so 120.70 cents. All right, it is the pivot in Apple, but the stock needs to reverse. So we are going to see whether we can do it with a short position at 121 and 70 cents that we announced here live. All right, so right now 119 and 64, 190.43. And by the way, while we see this happening in real time, now 119.04, while we see this happening in real time, well, there is some noise, volatility, obviously, it's normal. I was going to talk about other thing, well, but I don't remember exactly what I was going to say. Anyway, we're going to wait a bit more. 119, 118.52, so the stock already reversed, and this is important, is a reverse of the momentum after hours. So, by the way, what the comments that I have to make is that what you see here in Apple happening after hours, everything that you have seen, is precisely included in an article which I addressed ahead of Apple earnings, okay? So if you wanted to have a long position, maintain long position in Apple, target price, and as I explained here, you had everything written in advance of these moves in Apple, okay? So now $118, so the stock, as you could see, trading 118. For example, if you had a short position, 121.70 cents, 118, if you want, you can take some profits on the short side. If you are for the day trading, okay? So you have here, that is not my case. So we already have the reverse of Apple right now in real time, 117.45. And this is very good because it reversed completely. So from 121.70 cents opening the short position to $117.50. Okay, and in our service, we announce always target price. So I announced here a target price on the upside, and for example at 117, I'm happy with the result. That is to say, for example, 117, I could start closing a percentage of the short position that was opened at 121.70 cents. Why? Because then, if you want, the next days or next week, we can, as it happens here, we can manage this situation, okay? The open position on the short side that is going forward 121.70 cents. If you don't want, it is up to you, but bear in mind that what I'm describing here in real time is described live, or it was described live in the basic trading course, where every single investor that follows my methodology, with the case of GoPro, and where you had plenty of picks, the GoPro, the case of Sears Holdings itself, the case of, okay, let's close a little bit here, short position, 116 and 35, okay, please. All right, so we closed a bit the short position here in Apple, 116 and 30 cents. And we leave, obviously, the rest open in Apple. And my friends, you have seen here a tremendous, I think, event in Apple. since we didn't want to have. By the way, don't forget that also I have the short position that I assumed at 119 and 40 cents, besides the 121 and 70 cents. So a very important achievement in Apple here, described to you in real time, with this target price 116 and 30 cents, a very large profit. I think this is the way you learn about how to invest in the markets, but also not saying that Apple is going to crash, a pullback, which is a health in my opinion in the end, and also the fact that you have seen shares going to 121 and 70 cents, also opportunity, market is very helpful, giving you the opportunity to sell Apple in the end at a price, a better price that I sold, and I disclosed that I had sold Apple ahead of earnings, okay? So I sold Apple to have the opportunity and to assume the risk of a short position, since I could not, obviously, in my case, not yours, but in my case, I could not have a long position in Apple and then sell the stock and at the same time to go short the stock. It was obviously impossible to do it because of very large positions, all right? So I'm pleased with the results. I'm also pleased with the fact that you have seen here things happening. This was what I have been expecting, that is a reverse of the course in Apple, because as I told you before, we had a strong buy rating at $92, $93 with a very specific upside and price target on the stock, 120 and 70 cents announced to you ahead of Apple earnings. So as small investors and those hedge funds, today you had all the opportunity to close your position at a price better than mine, all right? And while at the same time, you also have been informed here that I was having a short position in Apple on earnings and selling short the stock after hours, $121.70 live. And as you can see, it is impossible, because I never missed one single call in Apple, all the years, never one. In my opinion, it is quite frankly impossible to lose money in Apple, because I proved over and over that you can do this with 100% accuracy, disclosing the price targets or what are we looking for precisely ahead of earnings. You will not find any other person or individual or company in the world with the stock pivots disclosed here with 100% accuracy, my friends. You have the share price right now at stock pivot 116 and 30 cents, okay? And you had the stock price at 120.70 cents, the price, the upside that I referred to here in Apple, okay? So you have both stock pivots, not only the highest, above the entry short, 121 and 70 cents, where you also play with the position sizing. That is to say, if you, for example, if you are selling short at 118 and a half, obviously at 121 and 70 cents, you are selling short by far more in terms of position sizing compared to 118 and a half, okay? And then you, since you have, if you followed my advice, opinion in real time, since you have right now more than one short position in Apple, then you can, for example, close the lowest entry, the 118 and the 118 and a half, and you can remain short, for example, the highest entry, okay? And by closing the 118 and a half short, for example, at this price, you already have a profit, and therefore you have a cushion of profits and that you continue accumulating that allows you to manage your existing position in Apple, that as of today, if you follow obviously my advice here in real time, it is rather different compared to what you had before, okay? But if you also wanted to maintain your long position in Apple, that is to say through earnings, and you did nothing, well, at least you don't have a crash, you have an important reverse of the momentum, and going forward, you assumed also that risk. I assumed mine, you assumed yours, and therefore going forward, you do something about it, okay? That is the beauty of the process, and more, quite frankly, more explicit than this, I cannot be. And so right now, what we are going to do is that our team, the algorithm, is going to continue, and I have to, quite frankly, to leave you, because I think that I, covered very well here, everything that you, remember this. Remember this because, my friends, it is proven live on the tape. There is no one else in the world able to do this. That is 100% guaranteed. You can ask the Federal Reserve, the Bank of China, Mr. Warren Buffett, George Soros, whoever you want. This cannot be done by anyone else. Proven live on the tape while explaining to investors everything in detail, the stock pivots that you want to know, and whether Apple was a buy, a sell, and the target prices, and also what we expect in the end after the company reported earnings and for weeks ahead. Okay? So, thank you and good luck investing in Apple going forward. Bye-bye.